Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today we are going to be working on my new Microtech UTX 85 Gen 4. And I've been using this. I've had it for maybe a week now. Cut up lots and lots of boxes with it. And I want to get it to my level of sharpness. And so we're going to do a minor reprofiling on this blade because I need to get this blade into my sharpening memory, muscle memory. And what I mean by that is whatever blade or whatever angle the blade comes at, it isn't necessarily the best angle for this blade. It depends on what I use this blade for. It depends on what the blade is made out of. It's always going to vary between, say, 15 degrees for, say, a chef's knife to 25, all the way up to, say, 35 for an axe. But what I mean is I want to get this sharpened so that it's familiar to me and where I typically profile my knives at. So we're not going to do that on the Tormac. We're going to do it on this Venev F240 here. This steel is M390, so it's a tough steel. We're going to need the diamonds to braid, and I could just go and find. It's harder to find the exact bevel of where the manufacturer bevel is. So instead, I'm going to use a microscope as I go along and sharpen this. But basically, I'm making this knife mine now. And it's going to get to as sharp as I want it. It'll be sharper than factory even. So don't be afraid to sharpen your knives. I wouldn't start with a $300 knife. But what I would do is get started and start sharpening your knife. Start with a cheap knife. Go to Walmart and get a $10, $20 knife and start practicing if you're not familiar with sharpening. But once you get comfortable, and you know what I'm talking about, when you're comfortable taking a new blade and putting your whatever angle you prefer to sharpen at on it, don't be afraid to sharpen your knife, because otherwise you're going to end up having a dull knife. It's a really nice knife, but it's dull. Or you're going to end up paying somebody to do what you could do, or pay Microtech to resharpen it if you send it in. And you can do this on your own. You can do it. But you need to practice, and you need to have the right stones. And this is not a beginner's knife, nor is this a beginner's stone. But if you are a beginner, start somewhere. Use a steak knife, not a serrated one. And then use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, or I use this Carson about at a 30x zoom, and I look at the blade as I'm sharpening it. To see what angle I'm at, which bevel I'm at, and I go until the two bevels intersect each other. And usually you can tell that you've done that by feeling for a burr. So I don't feel a burr yet. Oh, I do a little bit on the bottom here. But I want to look through the magnifying glass or the microscope here and see exactly what I'm doing, what bevel I'm at on both sides. And sharpen so that you've got one bevel. You don't want to sharpen and have the factory bevel at one point and your bevel at another. You want to keep sharpening until your bevel supersedes or is the front bevel. And that usually, if you aren't going, if your bevel is nearer the edge than the factory bevel, then that means you're sharper, you're sharper angle. You're at a steeper angle than the factory. So just know that. So I'm looking through here and we are near apexing already. So my angle had to have been very, very close to what Microtech put on it. But now when I go back, I'm going to be able to find that nice bevel that I put on it each time. And that's going to make sharpening this knife very simple. Each and every time I'm just going to put it down, find the bevel, and start going. So I have worked this edge now over the last 2 days, because not consistently or not constantly, but I have worked it intermittently the last 2 days, and I didn't want to do everything on camera and make this a super long video, longer than it will be. But the reason is that this blade came with a kind of different bevels on each side, as it, even though it had an apex, one bevel was sharper than the other, and so I needed to make this one steeper, or less steep, and that took a long time to get a single bevel out of it. I'm going to show an image here of what can happen if you don't have the right if you don't have the right angle and you're getting a burr on one side but not the other. I'm going to show you what that looks like and how you can fix that. But it takes time. It takes quite a while, or a lot of a very aggressive stone. So so I'm going back and forth with this now. because I'm finally getting a burr on both sides. And I'm just minimizing the burr by doing alternating passes on this stone. And doing it lighter and lighter. And now I've got this knife exactly at the bevel that I'm comfortable sharpening at. And I'm super happy with that. It obviously, I had to take off quite a bit to get that to a single bevel. But like I said, don't be afraid of making the knife look like your own, because now anytime I come back and to resharpen this, I'm going to be able to do this super fast and easy. So this was a minor reprofiling, mostly a reprofiling on one side, because the bevels weren't even on this blade. So, and that's very common for certain knives. Like this knife, my Infidel, had a single bevel basically, and then almost a flat grind on the backside. And so what I've done there was sharpen so that both sides have that bevel on all 4 bevels now. So don't be afraid of sharpening your knives. All right, so we're gonna flip over to the F400 side here, and I was finally able to get a burr on both sides. It took a long time, but we achieved it. So now the rest of this is just simple. Find the bevel, find my bevel that I like, and then proceed. This will bring a burr up pretty easily. Although this is, again, M390 steel, so that steel is a lot stronger. But we'll be able to get a burr fairly easily on this, because I don't have to remove as much steel. Okay, I've got a burr all the way to the tip. And we'll do this side here. Till we get a burr. A little more on the tip and the point. Okay, and then we're going to do alternating strokes, forward strokes. Getting lighter and lighter as we go to help remove that burr. Okay, and then if we were stopping here at the F400, then we would strop, but we're going to take this up a notch, and I'll catch you on the next stone. All right, now we're on the R or F800. Sorry if I said R in the previous, or on the previous stone. The F800 by Venev. And we're just working that same bevel. And your burr should be pretty small. But you should still feel something there. Okay, that feels good. Again, we're going to minimize the burr for when we go to the strop. And I'm going to stop after this side of the stone. I'm not going to go to the F1200. So we'll dry the knife off. We'll grab our 400. Or 4 micron, I'm sorry. 4 micron strop here. This is our kangaroo strop. And then we'll go to our 1 micron or 16,000 grit. Get lighter and lighter. So that barely the blade is touching. All right. And then we'll do some newspaper for sharpness test. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like this video. I appreciate it. Damn for all out.